So today we're going to dive into a really powerful idea from Barry Schwartz's fantastic book, The Paradox of Choice. It's an idea that honestly explains this very modern, very common anxiety that I think a lot of us feel every single day. I mean, does this sound familiar to you? You go into a cafe for a simple coffee and you're hit with a menu of 30 different kinds. Or you finally get some time to relax, you sit down, you spend a solid hour just scrolling through Netflix, and then you just give up and watch nothing. Look, on the surface, these seem like tiny first world problems, right? But they're actually pointing to a much bigger truth about the world we live in. You know, for the longest time, we've all been sold this idea that more options, more choice, equals more freedom, and more freedom means more happiness. But this book asks a really radical question. What if that's all wrong? What if the very thing we thought was making us free is actually the source of our stress and anxiety? What if trying to find the perfect choice is actually making us miserable? All right, so first up, let's really diagnose the problem here. When exactly does having more choice start to feel like, well, less happiness? This whole idea actually started with a super relatable personal story. The author, Barry Schwartz, walked into a store to do what he thought would be a really simple thing, buy a new pair of blue jeans. And right away, it was just boom, a storm of questions from the salesperson. Do you want slim fit, easy fit, relaxed fit, button fly or zip fly, stone washed, acid washed? All of a sudden, this simple task of buying a pair of pants had turned into this massive, exhausting research project. So an hour goes by, and yeah, he walks out with probably the best fitting pair of jeans he's ever owned. But here's the thing. He didn't feel happy. Not at all. He just felt drained. He felt anxious and was already second-guessing his decision. Did I really pick the best one? And that feeling right there is the heart of the paradox. And that little story is a perfect example of what this whole book is about. It's called The Paradox of Choice. The idea is simple. When you have way too many options, it doesn't liberate you, it actually paralyzes you. Instead of feeling happy and empowered, you just feel overwhelmed, which leads to anxiety and, weirdly, dissatisfaction with whatever you end up choosing. And hey, this isn't just a feeling, there is some amazing data to back this up. Check out this famous jam experiment. In a supermarket, researchers set up a table with 24 different flavors of jam. And then they set up another table with just 6 flavors. Now, the big table got more attention, sure, but the little table with only 6 jams? Get this, it resulted in 10 times more sales. 10 times! That's insane! And this is what scientists call decision paralysis. It's like our brains just freeze, they short circuit. The fear of making the wrong choice becomes so huge that we end up making no choice at all. We walk away from the jam, we turn off the TV, and we put off that big, important life decision for just one more day. Okay, so that's the problem. But what about us? What's our part in all of this? In this next section, we're going to look at a really cool psychological framework to help you understand your own style of making decisions. So, according to the book, most of us fall into one of two camps when it comes to making choices. And I want you to be really honest with yourself here. Are you a maximizer or are you a satisficer? To really get this, let's picture two friends, Eamon and Rahul, buying a new phone. Eamon is our maximizer. For him, this isn't just shopping, it's a quest. He has to find the absolute best phone on the market. He'll spend a week, maybe more, glued to reviews, comparing every single spec. Then you've got Rahul. He's the satisficer. He just needs a reliable phone that works. He sets a few criteria, checks 3 or 4 models that fit, and picks one that's good enough. He's done in 30 minutes. Now, you'd think Aman would be the happier one, right? I mean, he probably did get the better phone. But here's the crazy part, the big twist. The research shows that even though maximizers might end up with something objectively better, they are almost always less happy with their selection. Think about it. Rahul is already out there just enjoying his new phone. Meanwhile, Aman is still stuck wondering if a better model is coming out next week. Yeah, being a maximizer, it sounds good in theory, but it comes with this huge hidden cost to your mental health. You're always trapped in that what-if loop. Every decision is haunted by the ghosts of all the other options you didn't choose, which means you're way more likely to feel regret. You're constantly comparing what you have to what others have. It's just an exhausting, never-ending treadmill. So if being a maximizer is so draining, what's the fix? Is there a way out? You bet there is. Let's talk about the solution, learning the art of good enough. Okay, the book lays out a really clear 4-step plan to help you shift your mindset, to become a happier, more content satisficer. And listen, this isn't about lowering your standards, not at all. It's about raising your happiness. And it all boils down to these 4 practical steps. Step 1, change the goal. You're not hunting for the best anymore. You're looking for good enough. And the secret here is to decide on your non-negotiable criteria before you even start looking. Let's say you need a new laptop. You decide it has to have a certain battery life, a certain amount of storage, and be under a certain price. The very moment you find one that checks all those boxes, your search is over. You buy it, and you move on with your life. All right, step 2. This one's huge. You have to intentionally limit your own choices. Create some simple rules for yourself to automate the small stuff. You hear about people like Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg always wearing the same thing. They weren't trying to be fashion icons. They were saving their brain power, their finite mental energy for the decisions that actually mattered. You can do the same. I only buy blue or black pants. I only consider 3 restaurants for takeout. It worked. Step 3 is all about practicing gratitude. See, for a maximizer, comparing your life to everyone else's is like pouring gasoline on the fire of anxiety. Gratitude is the water that puts it out. When you actively focus on and appreciate what you have, you starve that part of your brain that obsesses over what you don't have. It completely shifts your perspective. And last but not least, step 4, commit to your decisions. There was this fascinating study where students got to choose a photograph to keep. One group was told their choice was final. The other group was told they could swap it later. And guess what? The group whose choice was final was way, way happier with their picture. It's amazing, right? Once that escape hatch is gone, our brains get really good at convincing us we made the right call. So make your choice and then just own it. Don't look back. So where does this all lead? Well, it leads to a totally new way of thinking about what it actually means to be free. And this right here is the biggest idea in the whole book. Real freedom isn't about having a million choices on a menu. That's not freedom, that's a kind of prison. It's a tyranny. True freedom is being free from the crushing weight of all that choice. It's the freedom to choose confidently and then get on with your life. So let me leave you with this one question. Think back to that story about the jeans. What's the jeans in your life right now? What's that one area, maybe it's your career, your finances, or just what to make for dinner, where you feel completely paralyzed by all the options? Because just figuring that out, that is the first step to getting your freedom back.